Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala wa bishrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. So inshallah, Brother Ahmed won't be able to make it today. So what we'll do today is we'll have the general topic first, which I'll speak a little bit, and then we'll have Brother Khalid focus on the pronunciation and recitation afterwards. So we'll see where we end up time-wise, but we should be able to end hopefully at the same time. So this morning, inshallah, I wanted to talk a little bit about transmission, the concept of transmission, the transmission of the Quran, and how the Quran, very high level, the preservation of the Quran and how it got to us today. So when we talk about the transmission of the Quran itself, that transmission starts from who? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? That's the source. Now, going from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and getting to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what are the ways in which that gets there? From Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, so one way is through the angel Jibreel alayhi salam, right? Okay. Another way is, but be more specific. So revelation, but how? Like doesn't he have like daydreams? Not daydream, but it's directly to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? So directly to the heart of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So that's number two. And then also another thing where that's yeah, but so that's still through Jibreel, right? So through Jibreel alayhi salam, directly to the heart of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then there's something else where everyone has these, but when the prophets have them, it's revelation, it's wahi. Dreams, right? So those are the ways in which the Quran is coming to the Prophet ﷺ from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? Now remember when the Prophet ﷺ, when he was, before the first revelation came, what was he doing? He would go to the cave, right? And he would be contemplating and meditating, right? And before then, before the first revelation came, he would actually see Jibreel in his dreams. Right? So he was coming to him continuously in his dreams. So now, if you're somebody who you're seeing something in your dreams, right, continuously, but all of a sudden now that thing is in reality, what's the first thing that's going to come to your mind? Am I dreaming? Right? So, right, you see something continuously, and then you actually see it, and you're like, wait a minute, am I? Because I've been seeing this, right? So am I? So what did Jibreel do? He came and he hugged him. As if he's saying, now it's real. You're feeling it now, right? It's real. It's not. You're not dreaming anymore. The revelation is coming. So read in the name of your Lord, right? Okay. So the Quran was revealed as it was being revealed over how many years? It's 23 years, right? And some of the scholars, they differentiate between the way the Quran was revealed and the way other books were revealed. And they say that there's a difference between the word anzala and nazzala. Right? Anzala referring to something that's happening all at once versus nazzala that's happening continuously over time. Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, نزل عليك الكتاب بالحق مصدقا لما بين يديه وأنزل التوراة والإنجيل. So both words are used, right? So we sent the Quran, the book in truth, and then in the Torah, in the Injil, the word anzala is used. So they say this refers to those books being referred all at once, whereas the Quran coming piece by piece, right? So, for example, when we say "Inna anzalnahu fi laylatil qadr," it was sent down. But here, anzal is used. So, like if you look at, for example, the tafsir of Ibn Kathir, Ibn Abbas radiallahu anh, he says that what this means is that the Quran as a whole came from the preserved tablet, the Lawh al-Mahfuz, to the ila sama' dunya, to the lower world, our world, and then from there it's piece by piece to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? Okay, so just a side note there. Okay, so now the Quran is coming to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and as it comes to him, he's conveying it to those around him, and two things are happening when he conveys it. What are they? So the Quran is coming to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He's now taking that and conveying it to those around him, the companions, right? And two things are happening.
One, they're following it.
Okay, but from a preservation standpoint.
Two, they're writing it down.
But what else? Memorizing it, right? So they're memorizing it, number one. And number two, it's being written down, right? So so either it's written on parchment, it's written on stone, it's written on bones, it's written on wood. All of these things, it's being written down. So one is basically complementing the other, right? So the Prophet ﷺ, he had scribes, people that would write for him, right? So like, for example, everybody knows Zayd ibn Thabit. He was somebody who used to write for the Prophet ﷺ. Even the Khulafa that we all know, Abu Bakr and Umar and Uthman and Ali, may Allah be pleased with them, they also wrote. They were people who wrote down the revelation for the Prophet ﷺ. So now, when the Prophet ﷺ, when he passed away, we were at a position where we had a lot of people who had memorized the entire Quran, and we also had the Quran written. The whole Quran was written, but it was not in a form of a book yet. Right? But it was all written down and it was completely memorized. Okay? So that's the situation. So then when Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, became the Khalifa, does anybody remember what happened that triggered them to now collect that into a book?
70 companions died in one war.
Yep. So there was a battle of Yamama, right? Where you had, but what was the significance of those companions? What was special about them? Keep going. Yeah, they were people who had memorized the Quran, right? So Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, he appointed Zayd ibn Thabit to go and collect, right? To basically compile the verses, and he made sure that what he compiled was, number one, it was written in the presence of the Prophet ﷺ. And number two, it was memorized, taken directly from him. Right? So whoever had memorized it directly from him and written in his presence. Right? So you had multiple sources that are strengthening one another, right? So that's where the concept like tawatur comes in, where you have multiple sources, one after another, confirming each other, right? Okay, so then Zayd, may Allah be pleased with him, he put that together, and that was the first official copy of the Quran, and that was with Abu Bakr, radiallahu anh, initially, and then when Umar radiallahu anh became Khalifa, it was with him. When he had passed away, it went to who? Who knows this one? Anybody know? So the daughter of Umar and the wife of the Prophet ﷺ, what's her name? Hafsa. So it was with Hafsa, right? So now comes the time of Uthman radiallahu anh. And Islam is starting to spread, right? All to different cities, right? So now you had a lot of new Muslims, but you also had some of the companions who were appointed to different cities to go and teach the Quran, right? So for example, like you had Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anh in Kufa. You had Mu'adh ibn Jabal, he was in Palestine. You had still Zayd ibn Thabit and Ubay ibn Ka'b, they were in Medina. But there were different cities that they went and they were teaching the Quran. And because of this expansion, they wanted to ensure, okay, there's no confusion about the Quran. We want to make sure that we continue to preserve this. There's no, again, confusion about what it is that the Quran is, right? So then what did Uthman radiallahu anhu do? He said he called for the copy from Hafsa, may Allah be pleased with him, and then he appointed Zayd again, Zayd ibn Thabit, as the head of a committee. He said, go through this process again. Take the copy that she has, go again, talk to those who memorized, look at those who wrote, and so on, and then we make copies of this, official copies, and then those copies are sent out to the different provinces in the Muslim world, right? And then anything else we get rid of, we burn it, right? Because listen, if the companions of the Prophet, those who were with him, those who saw him, those who met him, are saying this is what the Prophet brought, and anything else is not official, that's it, right? Because they're saying this is what it is, right? So because some people, they had their own notes. Maybe they would write a saying of the Prophet ﷺ. Maybe they would have a verse with some tafsir next to it, right? Or something like that, right? We're saying official copy-wise, he's saying this is it. This is what it is, right? Okay. So now when it comes to transmission of the Quran, scholars, they've classified different degrees of authenticity. So one is based on the number of narrators, and the other is based on the authenticity of those narrators. Right? So for the number of narrators, there's a classification, and let's see if someone knows this, for the Quran itself. How is it classified as far as number of narrators? What's the term that's used? And I said it earlier, actually. Does anybody want to take a shot? It's mutawatir. It's called mutawatir. Mutawatir means it's in succession, one after the other, right? Like Allah says, ثُمَّ أَرْسَلْنَا رُسُلَنَا تَتْرَى. We sent our messengers one after the other in succession, right? So it means that you have a narrator, one narrator after other, groups upon groups, and numerous people all narrating the same thing to such an extent, such a large number, that it's conceivable that they would conspire to tell a lie. Because you have so many people that are trustworthy that are saying the same thing, saying this is what it is. This is what was narrated, right? So what happened was the scholars of Islam, they made this actually into a science. So if you study like the science of hadith, for example, there's mutawatir, which I just described, and then if you look at based on the number of narrators, anything that's not mutawatir, they say it's called ahad, and then they further classify that. They say something is like, they say mashhur, which they give criteria for this. They say, okay, like mashhur, it has to have at least 3 different narrators in each class, meaning like 3 of the companions, 3 of the tabi'een, and so on and so forth, that have to be narrating it. And then they say, okay, there's something called aziz, where you have to have at least 2 in each class. And then there's something called gharib, which doesn't mean strange. It just means something that, from a hadith standpoint, only one companion, for example, is narrating it through that. Okay, and then they go further. They say, okay, well, based on the chain, okay, the trustworthiness and the reliability of the people in that chain, and then they bring terminology for that. They say, okay, there's something that's called sahih, that's authentic, right? And then they have lesser degrees, like they say hasan, and then they say like something is da'if, something is weak. And then they further classify that, and they say, okay, you have something that's like munqati', like something that is like it's cut somewhere in the chain, or you have something that's shadh. They say like you have a reliable narrator that's contradicting a more reliable narrator, and then you have like something called mawdu', which means it's just completely fabricated, like someone just made it up. There's no basis to it, right? And they made this into a science, right? So like, and there's books on this. Like you can go and look at this and read this and say, okay, these are classified this way, these are classified that way, and so on and so forth. Okay. So like, for example, you have one of the famous hadith that's mutawatir is like, whoever lies on me, like man kadhaba alayya muta'ammidan falyatabawwa maq'adahu min an-nar. So whoever lies on me purposely, let him prepare his seat in the hellfire, right? That's groups upon groups of people narrated it, right? We know about that, right? But then there's like there's one hadith that everybody knows, but it was only narrated by one companion. But it's we accept it, right? But it's like, for example, إنما الأعمال بالنيات وإنما لكل امرئ ما نوى. So the actions are by intentions, and the one who everyone will have what they intended. That was narrated by one companion, yeah, by Umar radiallahu anhu, right? So it's called the gharib, but it doesn't mean we don't accept it, right? It just means there's one companion that narrated that. So now, if we take this into consideration, this concept of narration, authenticity, reliability, what's the problem that we have with the Bible? Say again? Okay, translation is one thing, but from the concept of narration. Okay, but remember, there's a chain of transmission, and there's the text itself. So chain of transmission wise, there's no chain. There's no it's not there, right? So if you think like, okay, the Gospel of Matthew and Mark and Luke and John, well, who are you? I mean, Matthew who? Mark who? John who? Who's your father? Who's your family? Where'd you come from? Who's narrating from who? Did you hear it directly from Jesus? Right? Who? I mean, are you? And those who are narrating, are they reliable? Right? These are all questions that you have to ask, right? So like somebody said different authors. So like, for example, the biblical scholars, they say there's about 40 different authors of the Bible itself. And on top of that, there's many books that are anonymous, meaning we don't even know who wrote it. We don't even know. But yet I'm just supposed to just accept it as, oh, this is just like, there's a process that has to be gone through as far as who's narrating what, are they trustworthy, how did they live, did they ever tell a lie, right? These are all things that matter. So, and even like when you look at the Catholics versus the Protestants, the Catholic Bible actually has more books than the Protestant Bible. So the Catholic Bible has 7 more books in it. So now you're in a situation where you can't even agree what is the Word of God and what is not the Word of God.
Is the Torah the same way?
No. But again, it's the same question around preservation though. As far as number of books, you're talking about number of books?
No, talking about like you was talking.
Yeah, preservation wise, yeah. So, okay, so for example, I have in my home even like King James version of the Bible, and then I also have a Revised Standard version of the Bible. And if you compare, for example, just as an example, in the Gospel of Mark, there are the end of the chapter. One book has a whole bunch of verses missing compared to the other. So the other one has more, the other one has less. So now they're debating about what really is and what really isn't part of it. Right? Okay. So let me see. Okay. So the point is, there's questions around narration and character. Now, when we look at the Prophet ﷺ, before he was even a prophet, there was a reputation that he had. Before even the first revelation came, what was that reputation? What was he called? What were his names? Sadiq and Al-Amin. He was the truthful and the trustworthy. Right? Before anything, right? So for 40 years, not one lie is recorded against him. Not one type of misconduct. So now all of a sudden when he says that I'm receiving revelation, he's going to lie about it? That doesn't make sense, right? So, and not only that, if he was somebody who was remember they offered him, they said, what is it that you want? You want to be our leader? We'll make you our leader. What is it? You want to get married to certain women, the best women? We got it. We got you. You want to have money? We'll give you money. What did he say? Did he say, okay, great, let's go, let's do it? No. Right? He said, I will complete this message. Whether I die trying, I'm going to complete this message. Right? So, instead he endured a life of being attacked, being boycotted, right? All the hardships that they went through. Right? This is not somebody who's insincere. And you see, the non-Muslims, they make these kind of claims. They start saying things. Well, he was lying. He was this, like, oh, he was. They say like, oh, he was just kind of like he lost his mind. He was a little bit crazy. Even the Quran, like he says, وَقَالُوا يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِي نُزِّلَ عَلَيْهِ الذِّكْرُ إِنَّكَ لَمَجْنُونَ. They say that, oh, you the one who has been revealed the reminder that you're crazy. You're a madman, right? How would you, like, if someone were to say that, how would you, if you think about how you would respond to that, what would be an appropriate response for someone who said something like that? Because if you think about somebody who has lost their mind, right? How do they speak? Do they speak in a way that's you can comprehend? Do they make sense in what they're saying? Right? A lot of times they're saying words that are jumbled, saying things that are incomprehensible, right? They're living a life that's not really that normal, right? The Prophet ﷺ, he lived a life as a father, a role model, a family man, right? He was living amongst his society, right? Is there anybody who's crazy who's brought something like the Quran in history? It's never happened, right? Or, for example, they say things like, oh, well, he was just like copying from like Christian sources, right? But you look, somebody who's copying something, first of all, the stories don't even match up. You look at, for example, the Bible and the Quran, there's not one story that's exactly the same, right? As a matter of fact, the Quran is always better in its stories. You read some of the stuff in the Bible, what the prophets supposedly did, it's just like, I don't even want to repeat it. I mean, it's yeah. But they come with these claims, right? Things like, well, he was taught by somebody, right? Like Allah says in the Quran, and those who know the verse, you can. It says, وَلَقَدْ نَعْلَمُ أَنَّهُمْ يَقُولُونَ إِنَّمَا يُعَلِّمُهُ بَشَرٌ. We know that they say that someone teaches him, right? But the question is who? Who is that person? Because they make claims. They say, well, like Salman al-Farisi, Salman the Persian, may Allah be pleased with him. The problem is he didn't come into the scene until Medina. So now for the first 13 years, who's teaching him? Right? Or they make claims. They say, well, it was Bahira, the Christian monk, because when he was young, he went on a caravan, and they briefly met for a while. So they say, well, okay, so in that brief meeting, he's going to teach him the whole Quran, everything about Islam, everything about all our practices, all our belief, and everything like that. That doesn't make sense. And they say, well, things like Waraqa ibn Nawfal, the uncle of who? Khadija, radiallahu anha. But he met him briefly. He believed in him, and he passed away. So it doesn't make sense. All of Islam, all of the Quran is just, see, they come with this stuff, right? But if you just think about it, the funny ones, they say, well, your Quran actually, it's from Satan. Satan gave it. But what's the response?
Tell us to worship God.
yeah, that's true. Why is Satan telling you to worship God, right? Right? Like Allah says, "Inna shaytana lakum aduwwun, fattakhidhuhu aduwwa." Shaitan is an enemy for you. Take him as an enemy. So Shaitan is telling you to take himself as an enemy if he's presenting it, right? يا أيها الذين لا تتبعوا خطوات الشيطان. Don't follow the footsteps of Shaitan. It's in the Quran as well. So now he's telling you to not follow. I'm sending it, but don't follow me, right? That doesn't make sense, right? These things that people come with, they don't make sense, right? So when it comes to transmission here, what's the time looking like? Do we have time? Should I stop? Okay, well, maybe just for a few minutes. When you have a transmission or a claim about something, the scholars, they have a rule. They say, إن كنت ناقلا فالصحة وإن كنت مدعيا فالدليل. Meaning, if you are transmitting something, present authenticity, right? And if you are claiming something, then you have to bring the proof, right? If you're transmitting, right, authenticity. If you're claiming, bring proof. Meaning, if you're saying someone said something or something happened, how can we authenticate that that's truly what was said or that's truly what happened, right? That has to be verified in some way. Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يا أيها الذين آمنوا إن جاءكم فاسق بنبأ فتبينوا, right? So when a corrupt person comes with you with certain type of news, then you verify it, right? فتبين أن تصيبوا قوما بجهالة فتصبحوا على ما فعلتم نادمين. That you out of ignorance you start you harm someone, then you regret what you did, right? So things have to be verified, and we verify it by understanding what, who narrated from who, are they trustworthy, are they reliable, right? And the scholars, they study the lives of these people. They made it into a science. That's called like ilm al-rijal. They make it. They sit there and they meticulously go through all of these things, right? And then the second part is وَإِن كُنْتَ مُدَّعِيًا فَالدَّلِيلُ. So if you are claiming something, you have to bring the proof. Like the Prophet ﷺ said, الْبَيِّنَةُ عَلَى الْمُدَّعِي. The person who is making the claim is the one who has to bring the proof, right? And that's true from a religious standpoint. Like it's always like in the case of somebody telling you, like saying, for example, okay, you're doing something that's not right. That's haram, for example. Okay, if they're claiming that, then they have to bring the proof of that, right? Because the scholars, they have another rule, right, where they say, in essence, like they say, al-aslu fil ashiya al-ibaha, meaning by default everything is allowed, unless there's a proof that it's not allowed, right? So everything that's done, it's allowed, unless you have some type of proof in the Quran and Sunnah that it's not allowed, right? So someone who's claiming something, they have to bring the proof of that, okay? Okay, let's go ahead and stop here because we'll switch to the pronunciation and the recitation, inshallah. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum. Bismillah wa salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. So just start with, I like also always to start with revision of what we had so far. So what we had so far. I'm asking. You're new, so okay. Let's just go 1, 2 classes earlier. What we had? Med, guys, right? We had the med. You forgot? We had the med before, right? What's the rule of the med we have? Huh?
A letter before it longer.
What are the letters of med? 3 letters of med. Alif. Wow. Yeah. Okay. By repetition, we will get we'll get to the point. Okay. So repetition is for the good people. Don't worry. So what are the letters of med? Alif. Wow. And yeah. Okay. So when you see one of these letters and there was a symbol when you are reading, you will see it. How it look like? The wave one, right? When you see the symbol of the med, the wave like, okay, above one of the 3 letters, which were alif, ya, and waw, you make extension for this letter, right? For how long? Depends on what? Depends on the letter coming after that, right? Right? So after the med, your eyes go to the letter after that. If you see what? Shadda. 6 movements or 6 vowels, right? Yeah. Yeah. Wala, no. Wala الضالين, right? There is med. The letter of the med is alif after the dot. Right? You see the wave. Then the lam. You look at the lam, you will see the small w, which is the shadda. We explain the meaning of shadda, right? When you see this, you make extension 6 vowels, right? ولا الضالين. Okay? 6 vowels, almost 3 seconds. Okay. What's the next rule? The same if you see one of the 3 letters and you saw the wave. But there is no shadda. There is hamza. Okay? Not shadda, hamza. How many? What's the time? How long? 4. Okay? And this is just to fix it between us. Okay? To fix it. There are details in this, but just to fix it. Because the most important is when you are reading, your reading is consistent. Okay? So if you make it 4 vowels, the extension, you keep it in all your readings. Okay? Later on, we'll go to more details. If you don't have enough priv, what should I do? There is something to allow you to go down from 4 to 2 only. Okay? We'll go through this, inshallah. But now just to fix it, be consistent, make it 4 vowels. Okay? Like ya ayyuha, ya ayyuha, right? There is mad, alif, the letter of the mad. You will see the wave, then the hamza. So for now, just to be consistent, we'll make it 4. Okay? If you didn't see either med or shad, we'll go downgrade into 2 vowels, just to make it easy. 6, 4, and 2. So this is a quick revision for the med, right? There's something we mentioned, shadda or sukun. Okay? will be also 6, and we explain why sukun, right? Because the shadd itself is composed of 2 letters. The first letter is sakin, is with sukun, okay? So like al ana, al, this lam with sukun, al ana. So mad followed by sukun or shadda will make it 6 vowels. So build up, okay? Build up. Then we moved from the mad, listen, to noon. Noon, right? And we explained the sound of the noon. It's like the letter N in the English, right? Right? So this sound, the sound of N, when you are reading the Quran, this will be obvious like that, like N sound, okay? So we were talking about the noon sukun, noon sakina. There is no movements above it, no fatha, no dhamma, no kasra, right? And the same will be applied to the tanween, because if you just close your eyes and think, the tanween, aliman, hakima, aliman, there is tanween. But what is coming out from your mouth is actually noon with sukun. So the noon, sakina, or tanween, they have the same rule, okay? So again, the same as we did with the mad, Yahya, we looked at the mad, then the letter after that, right? Here we are looking at the noon, sukun, or the tanween, then our eyes go to the letter after that. And we mentioned last time 6 letters, right? If they come after the noon, sukun, or tanween, we'll pronounce the noon, as in sound, clear, right? What are these letters? You were not here, Saad, right? Okay. Hamzun, ha. Hamzun, ha. Okay? The hamza or ha. If they come after the noon, you will pronounce the noon as noon, in sound. Ainun, ha. Okay? Then add the dot. Ghainun, kha. Okay? So these are the 6 letters. No one is studying, Brother Ali.
Could you repeat them one more time?
Okay. No one is studying. If we are not studying, there is no mean to continue, by the way, okay? Because you need to have these and apply. But this is not the problem of those who are here. Those who are here are doing great. So, hamzun, ha, aynun, ha, ghainun, kha. If any of these letters came after the noon, sukun, or tanween, will make the sound of the noon clear. This is called izhar. Like you have Surah Al-Ikhlas. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. Right? Look at the tanween at the end of kufuwan. What did I? If you close your eye and listen, there is noon. I pronounced the noon. There is no noon. It's tanween. Kufuwan. Kufuwan. There is N sound, right? Kufuwan ahad. Okay? Why I pronounced the noon? Because following the noon is hamza. And the hamza is one of the 6 letters of izhar. Hamzun, ha'un, aynun, ha'un, ghaynun, kha'un. Okay? Clear? Okay? We need to apply. We need to apply. You should open and read and apply these rules. You can find all the rules in 1 or 2 pages, by the way. All the rules we have so far, you can find in 1 or 2 pages of the Quran. Okay? Bismillah. So this is the revision of what we had. Okay, if we didn't find Hamza or Ha, or Ainun or Ha, or Ghainun or Kha, after the Noon, Sukun, or Tanween, we'll find a bunch of other letters, right? Right? Other letters of the alphabet. We'll look. Today, the rule is if we find one letter, which is Ba, the sound of B, right? Ba. If you found Ba after the Tanween or Sukun, What should I do? Should I say it noon, or clear noon, or not? I'm asking.
Not,
Why?
not part of the.
Because it's not part of hamzun, ha'un, aynun, ha'un, ghaynun, kha, right? So it is not aynun, ha'un, ghaynun, kha'un, hamzun, ha'un. So I will not pronounce the sound as noon, as in sound, right? So what should I do? Just a second, I'll just get an example. Bismillah. سميع بصير. إن الله سميع، إن الله سميع بصير. سميع بصير. سميع بصير. سميع بصير. Is it correct? If I read the Quran and said سميع بصير, is it correct?
No,
Why?
it's not part of.
Because when I pronounce it like that, I said سميع. I made noon, right? I made it in sound clear. سميع بصير. Even it's difficult to say it in this way. سميع بصير, no. Because a ba is not one of the 6 letters of إظهار, right? So what should I do? This rule is very simple. It's called a clap. A clap means change. Okay? What I'm changing. When you say سميع, so there is noon, right? At the end, which is the tanween, right? First, there are 2 steps. Alhamdulillah. The first step is to change this noon into meme. So it will be like that. سميع. سميع. So I'm changing the noon into meme. سميع بصير. Okay? So when there is ba, the first step is to change the noon into meme. Instead of سميع بصير, it will be سميع meme بصير. Okay? The second step, because it would be difficult to pronounce the meme and ba like that, you hide the meme. You hide the meme. It will be سميع بصير. Again. So if there is noon or tanween followed by ba, there is a rule called a clap, change. What I'm changing, because it is difficult to have the noon and ba in pronunciation, this noon or tanween will be changed into meme. So instead of سميع بصير, it will be سميع بصير. Okay? This is the first step. Then, when you have this meme, you hide the meme. You hide the meme and produce a sound coming from the nose called غنة. Okay? It will be like that. سميع بصير. Again. So what I did, I changed the noon into meme. Then I hide this meme. سميع بصير. Okay? There is difference if your lips are closed or very slightly open, but it will be like that. سميع بصير. The sound you are hearing is called غنة. Called what? غنة. It's coming from the nose. سميع بصير. Again. سميع بصير. The sound is not coming from the mouth. The sound is coming from the nose. In سميع. سميع. So سميع بصير. So this rule is called a clap, change. Don't worry about the name of the rule. What's happening here? There is noon or tanween, followed by ba. It's not hamzun ha, not aynun ha, not ghaynun kha. So I will not make the n sound clear. I'll do something unique to the ba. If the ba is coming after the noon or the tanween, there is a unique rule for the ba itself. First, change the noon into meme, then hide this meme with the sound of غنة coming from the nose, nasalization, okay? Another example. جعل لكم من بيوتكم. جعل لكم من بيوتكم سكنا. الله جعل لكم من بيوتكم سكنا. Is it correct? من نون سكون. من بيوتكم سكنا. Is it correct? Why? always ask yourself why. Because I pronounce the noon as N sound, right? Min buyutikum. No, even if you are reading, it will be difficult to get min buyutikum because the outlet of the exit of the letters are difficult to come together like that. And this is actually the reason behind the rules. Min buyutikum. No. There is noon, sukun, followed by ba, right? There is a unique rule for the ba. What I'm doing, I change the noon into mim, then I hide the mim. Min buyutikum. Mim buyutikum. This is the first step. Then I hide the mim. Min buyutikum. Hide the mim with the sound of ghunna coming from the nose. Min buyutikum. Okay? جعل لكم من بيوتكم. There is something actually will help you when you are reading from the Mus'haf, from the Quran itself. When you found the noon followed by the ba, you will see by your eyes they wrote a small meme above this noon to remind you that this noon you should change into meme. When you change into meme, you will hide the meme with the sound coming from the nose, which is ghunna. How long is the ghunna? It's 2 vowels. Min buyutikum. Min buyutikum. Not min buyutikum. Okay? Min buyutikum. Then when you look, you will see this noon above it, small meme. To remind you, take care, when you come to this one, this noon is followed by ba. Change the noon into meme and hide the meme. At the beginning, you think I'm changing, this is one step, then the second step. But with practice, you will find it coming easy with you. You are not thinking too much. When you say the noon followed by ba, you will produce this sound like that. Min buyutikum, min buyutikum. Okay? Another example. Zawjin bahij. Zawjin, this is the jim. It has tanween, okay? Followed by ba. Zawjin bahij or zawjin bahij. The second one. Zawjin bahij. What did I do? I removed the noon or in tanween, okay? And with meme, change it with meme. Then I hide the meme. If you look while you are reading, you will see small meme. Small meme. Remind you that this tanween or noon sakina will be replaced by the meme. Then you hide the meme and do the sound from the nose, which is ghunna. Okay? How long is this sound? 2 vowels. Zawjin bahij. Okay. These were in 2 different words. It can happen also in the same word, like anbihum, anbihum. So there is anbihum, tell them, anbihum, an noon sukun, then followed by ba. What I'm doing, when you look at the Mus'haf, you will find that they put small meme above this noon to remind you. Change the noon into meme, then hide the meme with nose with a sound coming from the nose called ghunna. Anbihum, for how long the sound? 2 vowels. Anbihum, okay? So this rule is called iqlab. So now we are learning the rules of أحكام النون الساكنة والتنوين. The rules of the noon with sukun, which means not moving, no fatha, no dhamma, no kasra, noon, sukun, and tanween, and we understand why noon sakina and tanween together, because actually the noon tanween is the same sound of the noon sukun. So أحكام النون الساكنة والتنوين, we saw the first one is إظهار, to make it clear and sound, and this happens when the noon or tanween followed by Yahya. What are the letters?
Hamza, ha, ain, ha, qa.
غين غين خاء. Excellent, mashallah. Okay, hamzun ha'un, aynun ha'un, ghaynun kha. If one of these letters coming after the noon, sukun or tanween, make it clear and sound. Okay, if not, we start with. If not, what are the rest of the other letters? We'll just take one letter, which is the ba. The ba has a unique rule, and this unique rule will be easy when you are reading because they are putting the small meme for you to remind you, change the noon into meme and hide this meme. It's called iqlab. Don't worry about the name of the rule, okay? Yes, and the sound produced, which is ghunna from the nose, is equaling in the period is 2 vowels. Okay? We should go and open the Quran and apply these rules. If we are not applying, we are sweeping from the sea. Okay? Any questions? Okay. No questions.
So how long is a vowel usually? So if you say like one vowel.
Okay. So 6 vowels, 3 seconds. Meaning that the vowel is 2 vowels, almost 1 second. Okay? And there are multiple ways to say that, to count that. Some people nodding their head. Okay, one nod equals to mm, 2 vowels. Okay, some people do on the like that on the fingers like that. So it depends on how you will use it, but you can do your own way. Okay. Okay. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك